At 4:47 Friday, Marcus closes your blue training binder and says, "They came back at 80." He means $80,000. You trained him. After 9 years, you make $62,000. Before he zips the laptop bag, 3 choices arrive at once. Confront it, bury it, or find out what someone else would pay. Your chipped company mug stops halfway to your mouth. Marcus keeps packing, unaware that the room has changed. He talks about finally relaxing this weekend. You stare at the payroll tab still open on your monitor and hear the printer humming behind you. For 12 days, you showed him every shortcut, every stubborn scanner, every customer who calls before reading the email. The binder under his arm contains your handwriting. Now the person carrying it earns $18,000 more than the person who wrote it. Marcus looks over. "You good?" "Yeah," you say, because keeping the room comfortable is an old reflex. He leaves. The clock clicks to 4:48. You stay in the chair with 2 numbers glowing on the screen and a question that will not close with the payroll tab. 9 years earlier, you stand outside this building at 6:02 in the morning with a clean company mug and a badge photo that makes you look wanted for a very polite crime. Your first day paper says $39,500. Dad straightens your collar beside the bus stop. "Steady as good," he says. You remember being 12 when he came home early, carrying a cardboard box. Nobody explained the layoff at dinner. They just lowered their voices and started checking every price twice. For months afterward, Dad took whatever shifts appeared and kept his cardboard box in the garage. When the phone rang after dinner, everyone stopped chewing until they knew who it was. So when your new badge unlocks the glass door, the beep sounds like rent getting paid. By lunch, you know 3 names, 2 shortcuts, and which printer needs a kick near the bottom tray. You make yourself a quiet deal, learn everything, answer every call, become too useful to put in a box. You clip the badge to your shirt, fill the clean mug. By year 2, the warehouse stops using your full name. Someone shouts, "Call him," and 3 people reach for your number. At 6:10 one Saturday morning, a software alert wakes you. By 6:18, your laptop is open beside cold eggs. By 7:03, the trucks are moving again. Your manager texts, "Lifesaver." The years stack up that way. 1 blue training binder becomes 4. Your partner learns that a buzzing phone can erase dinner. Your badge fades at the corners. You miss the candles at 1 birthday because a warehouse screen goes blank. On vacation, the laptop rides in the trunk because leaving it home feels less responsible than bringing work to the beach. Payroll changes too. $44,200, then $50,600, then $57,000, finally $62,000. Each raise feels large for one payday and ordinary by the next. You save every thank you email and never open a salary website. Praise arrives often enough to quiet the question. Then Marcus sits beside you with a fresh badge, opens your newest binder, and asks you to teach him everything. On Marcus's 12th morning, he is already taking notes before you sit down. He circles the screen that freezes if you click too fast, writes "pause first" beside the loading bay scanner, and asks why the late order queue keeps rebuilding itself. He does not pretend to know things. He asks, listens, tries, and asks again. When the label printer jams, he waits for your respectful little kick near the bottom tray. It works. He looks at you as if you invented electricity. At lunch, he splits a bag of vending machine pretzels and thanks you for never making him feel stupid. He admits he was nervous about taking the job. You almost tell him you still get nervous before certain meetings, but the phone buzzes and the moment passes. By Friday afternoon, you actually like him. That matters. When he says 80, anger has nowhere easy to go. Marcus did not take money from your paycheck. He simply said a number that made your own number sound different. After he leaves, you return to the empty office and open 9 years of reviews. At 6:18 Friday evening, Marcus leaves and you stay. The cleaning cart rattles past while you open 9 years of reviews. Exceeds expectations. Backbone of the team. Could not have completed the migration without you. The dates pull whole nights back into the room. The Sunday migration, the frozen loading dock, the holiday dinner interrupted by a password reset nobody else could solve. On the other monitor, payroll is less affectionate. 39,500, 44,200, 50,600, 57,000, 62,000. You pull a yellow pad from the drawer and write Marcus's number beside yours. $80,000 minus $62,000 equals $18,000 a year. You divide again. $1,500 every month before taxes. The number looks like rent. It looks like the repair estimate folded inside your glove box. It looks like all the times you waited until payday to breathe normally. Your cursor moves toward the close button, then stops. Instead, you open a blank email and type, "Could we review my compensation and current responsibilities?" At 8:36, the email is still a draft, and your pasta is cold. The company laptop sits beside the salt shaker. 2 deleted versions are crumpled near the plate. One sounds like a courtroom speech. The other sounds like you are apologizing for having rent. Your partner reads draft 3. It says, "I would like to discuss my compensation in light of my current responsibilities." She does not tell you to quit. She does not tell you to demand Marcus's salary. She looks at the yellow pad and asks, "If you were worth 80 this morning, what changed at 4:47? Then she turns the pad toward you. If Marcus showed you these numbers, what would you tell him to do? You already know the answer. That is what makes the question uncomfortable. Nothing about the work changed, only what you know. You look at the badge beside the laptop, the chipped mug in the sink, and 9 years squeezed onto one legal pad. You have treated the number on your paycheck like weather, official, unpleasant, and outside your control. Your thumb hovers over send. The fear is not just hearing no. It is making the steady place feel less steady by asking. Monday at 9:10. You walk into your manager's office with the blue binder against your ribs. The blinds are half closed. Your coffee is doing the tiny, anxious tremor thing in your hand. You do not start with Marcus. You start with the work. One page shows 14 employees trained. Another shows the late order queue down 31%. The migration checklist covers 18 warehouses. You place each receipt on the desk and explain what you own now that was not part of the job you accepted at 23. Each number belongs to a room you remember, a nervous new employee, a wall of delayed orders, a midnight screen shared with 18 managers waiting for green lights. Your manager writes slowly. She says the market moved, hiring budgets changed, and HR controls the range. Then she calls you the backbone of the team. That used to feel like protection. Today it sounds like a job description, waiting for a number. You ask for a salary that matches the role you are doing. The room goes quiet enough to hear the air vent. She closes the binder gently and asks for 2 days. You leave without an answer, but the question is no longer trapped in your kitchen. Friday at 3:20, your manager slides a sealed letter across the desk. This is the best I could get. The page says 4%. Your salary moves from $62,000 to $64,480. Back in your desk, you open the yellow pad and use the same planning assumptions from your last tax return. The raise adds about $1,862 for the year, after the 6% workplace contribution, federal tax, and FICA. Roughly $155 a month before the other payroll deductions. That is real money. It can cover a grocery run and one stubborn bill. You place $155 beside the electric bill on your phone, and the tire estimate folded in the glove box. The raise can help. It still does not answer why the person teaching the job remains so far below the person learning it. Your mouth says, "Thank you. I appreciate you pushing." Your hand writes something different beneath the total. Marcus still earns $15,520 more. In the parking lot, the letter lies on the passenger seat. You fold it once, open your phone, and search for the resume you haven't touched since 2017. Before the file opens, Marcus calls your name from across the garage. At 5:41 a few days later, Marcus catches you beneath the parking garage lights. "I'm sorry," he says. "I thought you knew." He opens the recruiter email on his phone. The range reads $76,000 to $84,000. The message is dated 2 weeks before his first day. You read it twice, not because the numbers are hard, but because they existed while you were still building the binder he would use. "I asked for 82, he says. "They came back at 80. You almost answer, "It's fine." That phrase has worked more unpaid overtime than either of you. Instead, you say, "You didn't create it. You just made it visible." Marcus exhales. Before walking away, he taps the blue binder under his arm. For what it's worth, they'd be lost without this. You sit in your car without starting it. The range remains on your phone. For the first time, your salary is no longer the only number in the conversation. At home, you open Resume 2017 Final, no really. At 11:48, Friday night, your old resume glows over the kitchen table. Its proudest sentence says, "Proficient in Excel." Your partner pulls the yellow pad closer. What did you actually change? You search old emails. 14 employees trained. Late orders down 31%. 18 warehouses moved on to the new system. Each number unlocks a memory you had filed under just doing my job. Coffee at midnight. A relieved supervisor on speakerphone. Marcus writing your shortcut in the margin. The lines on the resume change one by one. Reliable becomes a result. Team player becomes 14 names. The work that felt ordinary inside one building starts looking like proof on a page. The old badge sits beside the keyboard, pale at the edges. For 9 years, everyone inside the office knew what it meant. Outside that office, nobody has seen it. You find an opening, attach the file, and hover over submit. The fear is simple. Maybe the company knows your value better than you do. You click anyway. The confirmation appears at 11:48. The first recruiter call happens in a borrowed interview room with a tiny table, a dry marker smell, and a door you keep checking, as if confidence might escape through it. When she asks what salary you are targeting, your mouth starts shaping 70,000. Fear has prepared a discounted version of you. Before you say it, she gives the posted range, 82,000 to 90,000. You interview anyway. One answer becomes a guided tour of every thought you have ever had. Another comes out so short, it may need a forwarding address. The rejection email arrives before breakfast, clean and polite, and built like cotton wrapped around a brick. For a while, you consider deleting the new resume and pretending the whole week never happened. Then your old employer calls. Something on the loading dock needs fixing. The same hands one company just rejected are suddenly required by the company that already has them. They know your name. They know which alarm lies. They know you will answer before the second buzz. The rejection starts whispering that the old 62,000 number was right. You fix the dock problem, save the rejection, and leave the next application open. In week 5, you stand before a whiteboard with a dry marker that squeaks like it objects to career growth. The interview panel gives you an inventory problem. 2 item codes, 1 delayed warehouse, customers calling about the wrong shortage. Your hands begin moving before the nerves can vote. You draw the queue, circle the duplicate code, and trace the expensive mistake hiding behind the loud one. For the first time, the work that felt invisible in your old office is exactly what a room full of strangers wants to see. Nobody calls it loyalty. They ask how you think. How did you learn that? The interviewer asks. 9 years of being the person everyone calls. 4 days later, an offer email arrives. $84,000. You read it twice, then write back asking for $86,000 based on the role and the work you just demonstrated. The phone rings the following morning. We can do 86. You place the offer beside the chipped mug. The difference from your old salary is $24,000 a year. Then you schedule a meeting with your manager. Thursday night, 2 papers sit beneath the kitchen light. Your new offer says $86,000. The counteroffer your manager produced that morning says $78,000 and includes a title that did not exist on Wednesday. The new paper feels risky because you do not know the people behind it. The old paper feels safe because you know exactly which problems will be waiting Monday. Familiarity keeps trying to dress itself as certainty. Dad calls while you stare at them. Steady jobs are hard to find, he says. You hear the cardboard box in his voice. After the call, your partner sits across from you and turns both pages upright. Which one do you want? She asks. And which one are you choosing because you're scared? Staying would raise you $16,000 from where this began. Leaving would add another $8,000, unfamiliar coworkers, and no 9-year shield. You pick up the chipped mug, then set it beside the $86,000 offer. At 11:12, you sign. Your hand shakes through the last letter of your name at 5:12 on your last day. Marcus completes the closing process without looking up from the blue binder. The office does not collapse. Even the label printer clears its own jam, which feels unnecessarily personal. Your manager stops beside the box on your desk. I should have pushed sooner, she says. You believe her. You pack the chipped mug anyway. Marcus asks where you landed. 86, he smiles. Good. At the glass exit, you press the old badge to the reader. It flashes red and gives one sharp beep. For 9 years, that sound opened the place where you stored your safety. Now the door stays locked behind you, and nothing terrible happens. You step into the evening carrying one box, the chipped mug, and a signed offer with your name beside a number you finally helped choose. The first new paycheck lands on a quiet morning at the same Dallas kitchen table. Old pay statement on the left, new pay statement on the right. The chipped mug sits between them like a retired referee. On the assumptions written on your yellow pad, a 6% traditional workplace contribution, 2026 federal tax, FICA, no Texas individual income tax, and payroll benefits left out. The old $62,000 salary produced about $4,060 a month. The new $86,000 salary produces about $5,442. The modeled difference is $1,382 a month. For 10 minutes, that difference tries to become a larger normal. A nicer apartment tab opens, dinner reservations look less imaginary. A tiny subscription goblin reaches for the raise. You let some of it improve life now. You also move part of it before habit can claim it. $350 on the 1st and $350 on the 15th. $700 a month and $8,400 a year into a separate diversified investment account. You book a modest weekend dinner, then watch the first $350 transfer leave. This is the first moment the raise becomes something you chose instead of something another person approved. It looks small beside the salary drama. 10 years later, at age 42, an email titled Reorganization Meeting appears before breakfast. Your stomach remembers Dad's cardboard box before your mind finishes the subject line. Then you notice the account tab already open beside it. For 120 months, $350 moved on the 1st, and another $350 on the 15th. 240 transfers, and $84,000 contributed. The planning sheet you made at the kitchen table grouped each month's pair into one $700 month-end deposit. At a smooth 7% nominal annual return compounded monthly, the sheet placed the 10-year balance near $121,159 before taxes and fees. About $37,159 came from modeled growth. The real account line never climbed that neatly. Some years are red, others recover. In between are rent increases, a transmission repair, a month when the transfer feels foolish, and another when it feels impossible. A few times you reduce spending elsewhere to protect it. Once you hover over pause, then close the app and keep the transfer on. The transfer history is the only part that looks boring, and boring is what survives 10 complicated years. The meeting notification blinks again. You text your partner, "We're okay." The account cannot buy the rest of your life. It can buy time, choices, and one ordinary breakfast in which a corporate email does not control your breathing. After the meeting, you return to the kitchen and slide the old badge into the drawer. The company did not move from $62,000 to $78,000 when you became more useful. It moved after another employer wrote $86,000. And the new salary only changed your future because $700 received a job before the larger paycheck became ordinary. 10 years later, the account could not make work disappear. It made one frightening meeting smaller than the rest of your life. So stop treating the oldest number in your file like a verdict. Start by finding out what your work looks like on paper. Then decide with evidence, not fear. If you discovered a newer coworker earned $18,000 more, would you negotiate, test the market, or stay? Leave your answer in a comment. If this story made you check your own number, like the video and subscribe to Stick Finance for money stories that help you make the next move before another year makes it for you.